السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد. All that is praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we thank Him, and we laud Him, and we glorify Him. And in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we seek protection, we seek help. In Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we ask for help. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us in Surah Aamron, the third surah of the Quran, in ayat 190, Allah tells us, Inna fi khalqis samawati wal ard. Allah is telling us without a doubt in the creation of the heavens and the earth. Allah is telling us that there is a sign, or there are signs in the heavens and in the earth. وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ, and the changing of day into night and night into day. لَآيَاتِ is a sign, is something for us to look at, something for us to think about, things that if we observe, we will learn. لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ, for those, not just anybody, for those who have understanding. Ulil albab are those that understand, those that think, those that ponder. So Allah is telling us, just look around us and we're going to see. What are we going to look for? He tells us all the time, all over the Quran. In Surah Al-Zalzalah, He tells us. Surah Al-Zalzalah comes at the end of the Quran. After Surah Al-Zalzalah, there are only 15 surah. 16 or 15. Surah Al-Zalzalah is the 99th surah of the Quran. And we know that there is 114 surah in the Quran. Surah Al-Zalzalah has 1 to 8 ayahs. Ayah 1 to 8. 8 ayat. Just by this word ayah and ayat, an ayah is a verse, telling us that all of the verses of the Quran give us some bit of information that we as Muslims need to look at and reflect at. And it starts in Surah Al-Zalzalah by telling us إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا, that when the earth will shake, its final earthquake. Think about that. Now we don't know how that is because we haven't experienced it yet, but we are experiencing earthquakes. We hear about the devastation in California. A few years ago, about 10 years ago, there was a series in America. And just about 3 weeks ago, there was one in Turkey, Syria, that region. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, reflect on that, because when He would take us, all of us, it will be preceded by an earthquake. وَأَخْرَجَتِ الْأَرْضُ أَثْقَالَهَا, and then He brings us a little further now. Because when that will happen, then after all of us now will come back up. He tells us, and the earth will throw out its burden. So as we are buried, or as we are destroyed, or however we may be, whether it is rightfully so or not, because we know the proper way is to bury the proper Muslim burial. But we also know that we have non-Muslims family, and sometimes they take us and sometimes they do with us whatever they want. Allah is telling us, no matter what our situation, He will bring us back up to account. وَقَالَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا لَهَا, and we're going to say when that happens, we are going to wonder what is happening. Just as when it shakes, and the first time it shook, they just said it was about 20-30 people. Then all of a sudden, 2 days after, they said it was 200 people. A week after, they said it was 2,000 people. 2 weeks after, they said it was 20,000 people. Now just yesterday or the day before that, they are saying is what? At least 33,000 people. And all we're doing is studying them statistics. Not pondering about what Allah is telling us, what will happen when the real shake comes. Because then too, we're going to really have to ask. Allah tells us, وَقَالَ الْإِنسَانِ, mankind is going to say, Mala, what is this? يومئذ تحدث أخبارها. On that day, the earth will speak about what we did. All that had happened, good and bad. And we know that if it was good, that we have to account for, alhamdulillah, all praises for Allah, we're going to be alright. But really, we know that we do bad. Day and night. So this shaking that took place 3 weeks ago really supposed to correct us and our actions for when the real shake comes, when we will have to account for it. بِأَنَّ رَبَّكَ أَوْحَى لَهَا. Why? Because this is decreed by Allah. Allah is the one that says that this is how it's going to end. So we need to think. He tells us, يَوْمَئِذٍ يَصْدُرُ النَّاسُ أَشْتَاتًا لِيُرَوْا أَعْمَالَهُمْ. That on that day, mankind will proceed in scattered groups, that they may be shown their deeds, which is going to wander around. Many of the ayats of the Quran tell us, when we come in the Sunnah of the Rasul, tell us that we're going to come in groups. One of the major sections of people is that we're going to come under the prophets. So the people of Adam would come after him. The people of Musa would come after him. And that's going to be really big. The biggest group. The people of Isa would be big. The group of Dawood would be big. But there would be some prophets now that would come with just a handful. Some would come with thousands. Prophets would come with none. What does this tell us? The truth is not dependent upon the amount of people following it. The haqq is the haqq. Because surely there were prophets from Allah that had no one following them. But the group of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, our ummah, would be the largest. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues. He tells us something now. فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. So whomsoever on that day now did even the smallest, some translation says an atom's weight. Some says a mustard seed. So a dharra is a very, 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 very fine grain, a seed. But we know and we understand, that there is an atom which is even smaller. But now technology tells us that there is even this thing smaller than an atom, nanobites. But the point is however small the good or bad is, and Allah starts by saying, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَى. That even if we do a little good, we would see it. What does that mean? It would affect our scales. It would affect us. It would mean good for us. وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَى. And if we do bad, we're going to see it. We want our scales to be filled with good. Because remember, we're looking at this shaking now. And we're not only thinking the statistics. Because we are so far removed from the people of Turkey and the people of Syria that really, there is not much, there is little that we could do. We can raise our hands and we can beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help them. Yes, because this is the greatest thing. Because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps, then who could destroy? Or we could send money, even there's a little bit we have, send. Or Imam, check the Imam, maybe the Imam could arrange, he could arrange for that money to go to them. Because it's good to help. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he narrates that the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has mentioned Ash-Shuhada Khamsa, that martyrdom The martyrs are 5 groups of people. And there are many other ahadith which gives other indication of what martyrdom is. And he starts by saying, Al-Mat'un, those that are afflicted by plagues. Now we see it probably, reading about it in history, where people was afflicted by plagues, the Black Plague, the Spanish flu, and recently we had this COVID thing, killing many people. But the issue is, we know mass deaths occur. When we are victim to this is one of the known examples of martyrdom as explained by our prophets sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wal mabtun, and those that have abdominal pains, an abdominal disease, cancer in the stomach, severe whatever. We don't know all the examples and all the names of the things that affect our stomach, but when the stomach issues are really high and acute, the Rasul mentioned that this is something of that. Wal gharq, drowning. When we drown, Muslim drown, because we know that Fir'aun was drowned by Jibreel, and we know that he is destined for the fire. So this tells us this drowning issue and the issue of Jibreel, it tells us and it reminds us that all of the good that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prepared for us, we must first qualify to receive the good. We must first testify, La ilaha illallah. We must first know that no one and nothing deserves to be worshipped in all forms of worship but Allah. We must place our trust in Allah. We must worship Him alone, without partners. And this worship must be guided by the Sunnah. وَالصَّاحِبَ الْهَدْمِ, and if a building falls and it crushes the person, like what's going on now. وَالشَّهِيدِ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, and dying as a martyr in the cause of Allah. And we know recently people claim that this is what they were called into. And we know of their evil, of their killing, when they go away from the advice of the ulama. We know about this. We know many people, even from our community, went in that evil and claimed that I was good. So all of them tells us, one, that we must ensure that we worship Allah alone, and we must seek knowledge. Because how would we know if this is what that is? If what we are doing is correct? Because many people claim to be upon good, and when they look at it, they are upon evil. We must attend the classes in the Masjid. Every single day the Imam sits and he speaks to one or two or none. And then when we are misguided, and then when we know, we say all that we have to say. When it is right there in front of us. This hadith is reported by Abu Hurairah and companions Sahih Bukhari and other versions also. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. In Surah Al-Hajj, the 22nd surah of the Quran, from the very first ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us, يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم إن زلزلة الساعة شيء عجيب. If we think that this 3,000 people dying is something great, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the beginning of Surah Hajj, He tells us, O mankind, fear Allah. Worship of Allah as He ought to be feared, and stay away from His wrath, and do everything that we have to do to incur His blessings. Fear Allah and be dutiful to Him. Please Him with our worship. Please Him by getting up from Fajr and walking to the Masjid and driving to the Masjid and performing the Salah and establishing the Salah in the Masjid, because He tells us, Inna zalzalat as-sa'a, that verily, without a doubt, the earthquake of that hour is a great, terrible thing. And we see it. We saw it 3 weeks ago. Abu Hurairah again relates to us about the same hour. He tells us that the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, لا تقوم الساعة حتى يقبض العلم. The hour approaching. This gives us some of the signs. He tells us the hour will not be established until knowledge of this religion is taken away. How will it be taken away? By the death of the ulama. And the death of the ulama doesn't only mean the physical death. It means when we, in our minds and in our movements, kill them too. How can we do that? By not taking from them, by not going to them. Because if we refuse to get knowledge, isn't that a way of killing someone? We're talking in a kind of language here now. Figure of speech. We know about talking nice, saying things in a certain way. We know sometimes if we do something wrong, our grandmother might say, or grandfather might say, boy, you dead to me. We know that what they say. What does that mean? It means that they don't want to hear about you. We don't want to hear about the ulama. So this is upon us. وَتُقْتِرَ الزَّلْزَلَةِ. And when earthquakes would be frequent. وَيَتَقَارَبَ الزَّمَانِ. Time will pass fast. We know it. Just last week, we were gathering for the Qurbani. Just last week, we had the cows there, and we were all happy and together. Just last week, I figure out speech again. Just 2 weeks ago, we were preparing for Ramadan, just as we are now. Or are we? Have we begun? It is now. Today is about the 27th of Rajab. Today is about the 27th of Rajab. Next 2-3 days, Sha'ban. 29 or 30 days, a month to prepare fasting. And then after Sha'ban is Ramadan. Have we begun to fast? Fasting is for the pleasure of Allah. Fasting is from the pillars of Islam, so that when Ramadan comes, we're going to enjoy it. Or are we just waiting to enjoy when we break the fast? The Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tells us, وَلِلصَّائِمِ فَرْحَتَانِ. إذا افترى فرح. That when we break the fast, we rejoice and we are happy. وإذا لقي ربه يفرحون. And when we meet Allah, we will rejoice. But will we? Because that comes with a condition. That comes with the condition that we have worshipped Him. We have done that which is right. So know without a doubt the time is passing. وتثير الفتن. And affliction will be all over. وتكثير الحرج, murder and killing, and money will overflow amongst us. So some of us isn't really seeing that, but no, wealth is around. Look to what we are doing. Look to how we could straighten up, because these are the signs that we are seeing. Don't just concentrate on the statistics. We could pick up any little paper and we could read it and memorize it. Don't just watch behind the TV and to look to see how much die now. 2 weeks ago, 2 days ago, we know there was 33,000. But every hour, every minute, we're going to concentrate on this. But at the same time, don't just ignore it. Know that we have to do the good. Establish our salah, establish our zakah, establish our fasting. Be good, be smiling with people. The Rasul mentions to us that from the goodness, from the charity, is to smile at your brother. Many people are pull-faced all the time. No. Know that our life in this world is short. Make good of it. Even if we have like a $5, go to the Imam. Say, Imam, look, take 4. I will manage with 1 and I will get something later. And take it to their brothers. The brothers in SPOP Selfie Publication. The brothers in Tobago. We network, Lillahi alhamd. And we can send funds. Turn to Allah and do good, and then beg Allah to help them and ourselves. This is what we have to do. Don't just know statistics. Turn to Allah, beg Allah to help us. Learn what we are supposed to learn. Some of us are Muslims 20 years. Some of us are Muslims 2 days. Some of us are Muslims 40 years, and we yet still cannot recite Surah Al-Fatiha properly. This is unacceptable. Learn to recite the Quran. This is what we are supposed to be doing. Our actions and our deeds and our sins place us in the fire and place us in Jannah. These are the signs that we are supposed to be looking at for what will happen when the real shake comes. When the real earthquake hits us. إن الله يأمر بالعمل بدء بنفسه فإنه قال في التنزيل إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما فنقول اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك من مجيد وارض اللهم عن الخلفاء الراشدين أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن سائر الأصحاب أجمعين عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله ذكرا كثيرا وسبحوه بكرة وأصيلا من قيم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله
استووا استقيموا تراصوا. Please ensure that mind is straight. Help all the brothers that straighten on the line. Alhamdulillah. استووا استقيموا تراصوا. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير